Here we are again at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. You don't have to be like Darmok on the ocean. No. It's Mission Log Live, where we are all like Darmok and Jalad on the ocean. I'm John Champion.
And I'm Ashley V. Robinson, reminding you that every episode of Mission Log Live is Temba, his arms wide, as long as you call in and join the conversation. Otherwise, it's not. Tonight, we're talking about Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2, Episode 2, Kayshon, his eyes open. So click the Zoom meeting link or use the one tap from your smartphone to call us at the number and leave your comment.
Yeah, because remember, without you, our listeners and callers, we are no better than Kadir beneath Mote. My Tamarian is so bad. My Tamarian is awful. I'm going to need a native Tamarian to call in and correct me.
It's the universal translator. We already know it's not great.
It is, which I wonder if it was stuck in his head, like we would see him, bang on his head to get the translator to work. How have you been, Ashley? It's been a while for me.
I know, it's been like almost the whole year, which is so tragic.
Right. Yeah, but you're back into the groove with Lower Decks here. Very excited about.
I'm so excited to be back. I was really nervous last week.
Why is that? You're a pro. Come on.
I don't know. It's like it's such a high bar, and like I said last year, like I come from being a listener, so it's still kind of like, oh wow, I'm here. I better be clever. Oh God.
Well, I will tell you, we are only made better by your presence. So there you go.
Thank you. Yeah.
No, glad you're back. I'm glad Lower Decks is back. And, it's so weird that it's only 10 at a time. And maybe with the popularity of the show, that'll keep, ramp up that production schedule so it's not so long between shows that we see you, right?
I hope so. But I'm also thinking, because the shorter seasons is kind of the trend across all television right now, maybe Lower Decks is going to be the one that hits the classic 7 seasons before maybe Disco or... So, I mean, I don't think... here's my wild prediction. Picard's not going 7 seasons.
No, really? You think? Okay.
I just a hunch. I can't, I can't imagine why not. But I think Lower Decks might actually be the one to get there.
You know what? I would put money on that. So good call. Listen, remember, folks, to make sure that you line up for your live calls with Earl. He is standing by to queue you up. Just click on the Zoom meeting link, use the one tap from your smartphone, or just give us a ring at 669-900-6833. Then enter the meeting code and password. And I always look forward to this moment where we get to say hi to people who are in the chat and welcome them into the show because, come on. I mean, first of all, after seeing a bunch of people in Vegas, and then now get to hang with them online again. It's like we never really parted ways. So there's Alan, there's Casey, there's Brian, there's Paul, there's at least one other Paul hanging out. I think we're going to have a Paul Fecta. I think we have 3 Pauls tonight.
Heck
so
yeah,
very
Paulumberate.
Yep, Paulumberate. There's John Arminio. Anne-Marie Siegel, welcome to the show. A lot of fun hanging out with Anne-Marie, and actually created a Twitter handle for an upcoming podcast that watches and listens to Mission Log and The Greatest Generation. So it's like reporting on the podcast. So it wouldn't be, podcast the podcast, but it's almost there.
That's great.
There's Narda, there's Michael. I love this. David Takeshi says, John Champion, his voice returned.
Yes.
That is literally only within the last couple of days, honestly. So glad to be here. I got a little something here to sip on in between, just in case. There is Tate. There is, who else? Oh, other Paul joining in. So good to see everybody. I am so glad to see everyone here. Let me give you all a quick rundown of what is coming up in Mission Log World this week. Now, on the next Mission Log, on the next regular episode of Mission Log, which will be on Thursday, take me out to the holosuite. So you'll all get to hear that. And of course, you do love that episode?
I love that episode. Norman talked about recording it last week, and I was like, I can't wait to listen. I'm so excited.
Cool. All right. Well, I cannot wait to hear what you thought about listening to that show. So we have that. Now, next week on the live show, it'll be Norman and Ashley back doing episode 3 of Lower Deck Season 2. And come on. I love the title. We'll always have Tom Paris. I mean,
The plate, the plate.
it's the plate, the one we've all been waiting for. So can't wait for that. And then this week on regular Mission Log, we will be recording Chrysalis. So that will be out early in the unedited video for our Patreon subscribers. So keep an eye on that. But of course, that leads us to tonight, where we'll be discussing Lower Deck Season 2, Episode 2, Kayshon, His Eyes Open. We already have some callers standing by, so now is your chance to get in while I do the recap. Or actually, Ashley, if you'll indulge me, I'll make like Kira at Bashi. Okay? All right.
It's so hard to write the metaphors. I have so much respect for you for committing to the bit.
I'm all tapped out after that. So, all right, here we go. Aboard the Cerritos, there's a new guy assigned a beta shift. His name is Jet, and he's immediately in a bit of mild competition with Mariner over status, showers, everything. They'll have their chance to work it out because they are immediately assigned to a mission, along with Tendi and Rutherford, to help catalog and secure the vessel that belonged to a collector. He collected things, a lot of things, just like all sorts of stuff, and just like all of you who are hearing me say this, I include myself. Kerner House, the late collector, has his wares being watched over by a competitor, the betentacled chairman Siggy. He just needs the Cerritos crew's help to weed out the dangerous stuff so he can put everything else up for auction. The away team is headed up by the brand new head of security, a Tamarian named Kayshon, and his universal translator sometimes gets stuck, which means prepare for metaphors. Once on board, well, there's just so much stuff. It'll take a long time across many rooms. They get to work, stumbling across many priceless treasures from around the galaxy. Accidentally, one of them trips an alarm system, which makes a holo painting of Kerner House come to life and zap Kayshon with an energy beam, turning the Tamarian into a tiny hand puppet. Chaos erupts as automated weapons fire, putting the away team in danger. In the nick of time, they escape to a side room where Mariner hatches a plan to infiltrate the engine room to take the weapons offline. Jet, however, has a different plan, which is to get everyone to the escape pods where they can get the away team to safety. Two competing philosophies, and everyone sides with Jet. Hey, remember our old friend Boimler? He's been living in the high-impact environment of the Titan for a while now, fighting off Pakleds, and now he ends up on a team that will infiltrate a mining operation to discover who's pulling the Pakled strings to get high explosives. He's a little out of place. Seems like everyone else on the Titan is ready for action, while Boimler is more about the exploration and, staying alive. Arriving at the mine, their plan goes awry when disturbing the Pakled's pile of snacks, thus setting off a firefight and a chase. The Pakleds are relentless, but the Titan crew are ready to go out in a blaze of glory until Boimler reminds them that Starfleet isn't about phaser fights. It's about exploration and peaceful diplomacy. They get it, but it might be too late. When the Titan arrives, there's an ion distortion which will prevent the transporter from easily beaming them out. Back to the collector ship. After evading the inorganic compounds compactor and a room full of bones, Mariner and her team find themselves fighting off a swarm of fierce Roombas that would indeed suck them to death if they aren't careful. Jet and Mariner trade barbs about each other's command styles when it dawns on them that they both have made mistakes. It's time to ask the rest of the team what to do, and it just happens that Tendi finds use in one of the artifacts. It's a bunch of Excalbian bones, and the acid they produce is strong enough to allow them to escape to a service duct away from the deadly vacuums. The team makes it to an escape pod and break the bad news to Captain Freeman. Kayshon is a puppet. Down in the mine, Boimler has used his knowledge of past Starfleet missions to counteract the ion field, allowing the Titan to beam up his crewmates. He's the last one left when an explosion disrupts his tinkering, and the Titan transporter officer has to think fast in order to not lose the signal, and thus Boimler. Success. He's beamed back up. But moments later, A shuttle approaches the Titan, and the pilot is beamed out to safety, and it's Boimler. Yeah, same transporter accident that created a Riker duplicate now has duplicated Boimler. The only fair thing is for one to stay on the Titan and the other to go back to the Cerritos as an ensign. And on the Cerritos, Kayshon is restored from puppet to person by Dr. Tana. Mariner and Jet have reconciled to realize that they make a good team. And when Boimler returns, he's greeted with open arms, as long as he picks up the drinks for abandoning his friends. They haven't forgotten. The end.
It's very ominous, the end.
Well, look, he's going to get stuck with a big bar tab. That's really the major concern here. So, I wouldn't forget. I can't blame them at all.
I meant to ask earlier when you said that you had something to sip on if it was Romulan ale.
No, you know what? I will say that I brought back some things from Vegas. They might be branded alcoholic products in the Star Trek family. So, no Romulan ale yet, though.
Yet.
Yeah, there is blood wine. There is soon to be Canar in my life, I hope.
Woo!
Yeah. Before we go to our first caller, I want to know, Ashley, just your initial impressions, because I feel like we both have a lot of notes because there's so much happening in this episode.
Give me the doll. Give it to me. I want it. I saw someone online who compared Kayshon's little puppet form to Baby Yoda, how it was like such a big thing in The Mandalorian, and they were like, look at CBS not merchandising this in the same way. So I really hope that in time for a big event or a holiday that we get. I want one so bad. Kayshon's so cute, and I'm not like a super technical person when I watch things, but the sound design around Kayshon in the puppet form was so good because every time someone catches him, he does that like dog toy squeak that he makes, or every time he's thrown around. It was like such a good small detail, and my love of that I feel like distracted me from the 8 billion Easter eggs that lived throughout this episode. But I did see what I thought was Uhura's original uniform, which I thought was a really lovely callback to one of the greatest Star Trek characters.
That was a great one. And by the way, our friend Aaron Harvey did an incredible screen cap, like this grid of about 40 plus items, and he did a key to that, so you can go through and see what they are. And then there are just more coming, more and more and more, because it is packed full of details, and not just in the collector's ship, but in other parts of the show. Just little details in the Titan. So yeah, so much cool stuff happening there. But I thought exactly the same thing with all the cool merchandise coming down the pike. Yes. That little puppet has to be made. Stop it. I mean, yeah, I don't want to wait as long for that as I have to wait for Cube Dog.
I hope so. I mean, I want one for me. I want one for the cat. I want it on a shirt. I have the Cube Dog shirt. So hopefully they put little Kayshon on a shirt too. But
yes, agreed. All right, so much to talk about. Let's go to our first caller. It is Paul. Paul, how you doing tonight?
Hey, John and Ashley, how are you guys?
Hi.
Hey, look, I got my cat. He decided to join. All I can say is amazing episode. And as a collector myself, I will show you that we do indeed collect puppets. This is little puppet Fauci.
Yes.
So indeed, awesome. Collectors do collect puppets. God, what a shout out to the industry. It's just amazing. The show, and I just looked at Trek Movie has got an entire article pointing out, what they found. And they didn't even list the thing that my wife and I spotted immediately, which was the little game thing that comes around your eyeballs.
Yes. Right.
We watched that twice. We saw it there. The Klingon love helmet. We got to give a shout out to that.
Payless's fornication helmet. Someone is going to wear that. That's going to be a cosplay. Mark my words.
Oh, look, I just get those ready for Christmas because everybody's going to want one. I'll wear one. Yeah, I'm down. Yeah.
That's how John's going to pick up going forward. Hey, baby, do you like my helmet?
Yes.
Oh, I can so see that happening. And here's a shout out to John. He pointed out I invested into a beverage for John in Vegas, and he told me about something Hendrix blah blah blah, and so I bought some, and Good choice,
Ah.
my friend.
There
It's
you
like
go.
smooth.
It is. So Hendrix, for those who don't know, that's my go-to now. It's got that little bit of herbal, floral taste to it, and you hit it with just a tiny bit of lemon. Oh, so good. So this is Gen Talk, brought to you by John and Paul. So yes.
Look at you guys with your grown-up drinks.
I know, right? Exactly.
Of course, you're not old enough, right, Ashley?
No, I mean in my country of my birth only.
Right.
Paul, something that I thought about, because you are definitely a collector par excellence. My heavy collecting days, I don't do as much now. I'm trying to sort of boil things down to get a few essential pieces that I really care about. But this episode, I just felt like it was made for people who are Star Trek collectors. Like they watch it and then they go, "Oh yeah, I would be that guy."
Well, what it does is really point out the fact, what happens to all your stuff when you die? Unfortunately, I mean, well, I guess we think about that and try to write it into the will or whatever. But man, what a collection! And then the fact is he had it all booby trapped. Even so, after he passed away, they were chasing him around.
Ooh, by the way, shout out #booby trap. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. Booby trap. So one thing I want to bring up, because there's the gentleman following me who appeared as a Ractogeno mug at STLV. You pointed him out last week, Ashley, and didn't realize it, but you'll get to talk to the Ractogeno mug next. The last thing I want to talk about was the transporter, accident. Was that too gimmicky? I mean, once they mentioned it, I was like, oh, that's what they're going to do. Do you think that's a good way to do it, or is there a better way that they could have done it?
Ooh, I have thoughts. Go first, Ashley.
I think it's cute as an homage, as somebody who avowedly hates Thomas Riker. I was not impressed on that level. And look, Jonathan Frakes was and remains a very seminal crush for me. So like 2 is definitely better than 1. I think for Lower Decks, I think for Boimler and for this type of story, that we could have had a way more ham-fisted version of it. I thought it was cute. And I do actually hope that we get to see William Boimler at some point again in the future.
Yes. Yeah. This is one of those things where it's funny, Paul, like right before we went on the air, Ashley and I were kind of giving each other our just quick summary about the show and how we felt about it. And I said that this struck me the way that a lot of other Lower Decks episodes struck me, which is I watch it the first time and I just go like, okay, there's too much. They're just trying to cram joke after joke after joke. And then literally by the second time I watch it, I'm blown away because there are such good character moments, such good growth, so many Star Trek moments. And look, 22-minute episode, they had a solid, worthy A plot and B plot in the Star Trek tradition that both really worked and paralleled each other very nicely. So when the first time around, when it felt like just doing the list of things. Here's Boimler doing the list of things he knows about the Enterprise, or the list of things that he knows about Riker. I felt like, okay, enough's enough. Could we possibly just get the joke out in a more subtle way? But the fact that they gave it some payoff at the end, the fact that they were probably leading a bit of the audience who wasn't as clued in to that specific moment as other audience members might be, I felt like I had to give them a pass. Maybe if we're all being armchair quarterbacks and we're all looking at what coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Sports.
Yeah, right. Then you could look at it and say, like, okay, there's another way to angle your way into the joke and let that same moment happen. But I'm glad they let the moment happen, and I'm even more glad that they had the little bit at the end about the name. Like, oh, I'm gonna name myself William. How do you think? It's like, oh, come on, you little kiss up. So I thought it worked, but I don't think it worked on its own as a joke. It worked because they gave everything else some resonance at the end. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I got the answer I thought I'd get. One last thing.
But what do you wait? What do you think though? What do you think?
we guessed immediately what was going to happen, and
Sure.
I still enjoyed it. I really did.
Yay!
Yeah.
That's
So
what it comes down to, right?
the show is just so overwhelmingly good. It's so good. It's a must see every week now. It's like the old days of Star Trek. You have to watch Lower Decks as soon as it's available.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to point out, last thing, Ashley, if you go over to the Trek movie and go down, they have a Twitter feed. Somebody made the finger puppet of what's his name? Kayshon. There is a Kayshon finger
Yes.
puppet in Twitter, and it's
Oh my
spectacular.
God.
Now,
I hope it's for sale.
yeah, no.
Oh,
So
God, I love it.
I think I'm going to introduce next a gentleman who most likely will come as the puppet next year to Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen,
Give him a chance. Yeah.
here's Chris.
All right.
See you guys.
Take care,
Bye,
Paul. Have a good
Paul. Bye,
one.
Kitty.
Chris.
Okay.
Welcome.
I
Put
have
me
to
on
say,
the spot, Paul.
this
I've
is
only got 6 months.
this is my iPhone 6. I scrolled back to find this. Adam Drozen, friend of the pod, sent
Yes.
me
Yes.
the Raktajino guy. It
Yep.
was like the first cosplay I got sent. So I didn't know that was you.
Oh yeah, that is me. That was me. That was me on Saturday. That arm, the not Raktajino arm in the photo was my mother, who very graciously shepherded me around the Rio all day as I could not see a darn thing inside the Raktajino mug. So yeah, that was a very fun day. Yes, I was also the Raktajino mug. Surprise.
You were almost the same color Raktajino mug that I actually have, but mine is a slightly darker blue.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
All right.
very cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the way, shout out to Adam and shout out to Barbecue. Okay? So
Yes.
uh-huh. Yeah. We all know.
Thank you for following me.
So yes, Chris, tell us what you thought.
Again, it was very good. Just to start off, my sort of fun observation. My favorite joke this season, and I hope they keep doing it, is that they put the Delta on every conceivable thing. So last week, all of Mariner's workout gear had little deltas on it, and this year the towel and the shampoo bottle have a little tiny delta on it. And I just want more things with deltas on them. That's it. That's all I need in life is officially branded whatever.
So much branding, so that they're in a finally it makes sense for them to be in on the branding. Like on Discovery, I kind of have a problem with the Delta being on everything. It's on the boots, it's on the top of the phaser. So if you're getting shot by somebody from Starfleet, you know for sure in your last seconds alive that it's Starfleet that ended you, But at least in Lower Decks, they're sort of in on it. I think somebody in Lower Decks needs to call it out too.
What are the deltas on everything? Oh, I don't know. You remember when that old app TikTok started? We got really good at branding around that time.
Right. Exactly. I'm going to go back to something that we're getting a little feedback there. I'm not sure whose system it is. Sorry. I want to go back to something that Paul was mentioning because it made me think, if anybody didn't hear our Mission Log supplemental about the convention and about Larry Nemechek's State of the Trek, it was so interesting to me that he asked the audience, okay, who had trepidation about Lower Decks? Ooh, it's animated, it's comedy, how do we feel about this? And easily half or more than half of the hands went up in the audience. But then he asked, all right, now how many people love Lower Decks? And every hand went up. So this really is the show that won people over. And even I feel like episode to episode, like me tonight, it's ooh, if there's something that I saw that I didn't love, but then they won me over because they made such a damn good episode.
I think that's a beautiful thing about Star Trek and the fandom is that we're also willing to admit our mistakes, to be like, I was concerned or I was taken aback, which was a big theme that we all shared at the beginning when we were first talking about season 1. And now we're like, but it's great. And it's true to Trek. And the speech that I'm sure we're going to get to that Boimler gives later on is really beautiful and could have been in any other Star Trek show and it would have felt accurate. So that's lovely to hear.
Yeah, agreed. By the way, in the chat, David's saying, can we please talk about corn now? Yes.
Street
so,
corn, specifically a very Southern
The elote.
California,
Yes.
LA thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So the other night, it was before I'd watched the episode. A friend of mine, James Kerwin, shout out James, he sent me a picture of Chief O'Brien with 2 pips, and he just goes street corn. And I'm like, what is this your new pet name for Chief O'Brien? I don't understand what you're talking about, but yeah, that was it.
Miles
Chris,
Street Corn O'Brien.
Miles Street Corn O'Brien.
That's a T-shirt. That's a T-shirt.
It is.
Yeah.
Also, shout out real quick here, Scott Palm saying hi, and sorry I'm late. Hey, welcome to the show. You join us whenever you can. There's Aaron. There is other Paul. He says, I have to say, this is the episode that won me over. It took a while. So, hey, see, there you go. That theory stands true, just as
Props
you were.
for sticking with it.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, any other thoughts here before we go to our next caller?
Yeah, I just want to this is purely a headcanon speculating thing, but based on our first 2 episodes and sort of how Mariner has sort of reacted and been, like, the fact that Boimler's gone and that she's trying to hide that she doesn't care, but she really does care. And my sort of, like, headcanon is that Mariner has been lower decking for so long and she's gone through, like, 2 or 3 groups of ensigns. And now she's got to, like, our group of ensigns, and she actually cares about them, and especially Boimler, who they had their sort of yin-yang thing last season, like learning from each other, and then that he's gone, she doesn't really know how to deal with that, and now he's back, so she's glad about that, but she's still gonna razz him. But that's my thing, is that Mariner lived a very lonely, like, lower-decker life before the show started, and she's glad to have this sort of core group that is our protagonist now on the show.
Very true. Yeah, I couldn't have said that better. It's that building of that family group that is so nice to see in this. Excellent, Chris. Thank you so much. We're going to move along to our next caller here, and we'll see you again. All right.
All right. See you around,
Hi,
guys.
Chris. We'll bring up a
Take
new
care.
cosplay next week.
I feel like, Ashley, one of us could, like, go to a mall somewhere here in the Southern California area, just, one day run into a guy in a wrecked Geno cup, like walking around, like shopping, just, there goes Chris. Just
Truly wouldn't even be the strangest thing I've ever seen.
No, probably not. Probably not. Before we drop over here to Alan, our next caller, I do want to mention something else that got mentioned in the chat, and that is, I'm trying to find it. Because I think they phrased it exactly right, and I'm sorry, kind of scrolling up and down here. Spockeleton, is that how they? Oh
yes, the Vulcan skeleton,
the 50-foot Spock from the Infinite Vulcan animated series. So cool that there are just so many deep cuts. That's one thing that we should be asking each other and asking people who call in, like, what was your favorite reference or object? So do you have a few that you loved?
Uhura's costume, which I mentioned before, was probably my favorite, because I feel like Uhura isn't always because she's not, like, as visually striking a character. I feel like she's not always given her due. The helmet was very, very funny, and then Mariner had that strange Vulcan weapon from Amok time.
Oh yes,
at one point on the
Lirpa.
Collector's ship. And as, like, a diehard Vulcan fan who got engaged at Vasquez Rocks, which was Vulcan, any Vulcan references, and since someone else picked the giant Space Home Depot 50-foot skeleton, the weapon from Amok time was probably my favorite.
Those were great. I mean, I've got to give a shout out to the little city from the Territon Incident animated series. That tiny little city, looks a little worse for wear as it's been in the collection. I just love the Terran Empire logo hanging up on the wall. Like,
OG throwback.
Kept a souvenir from the Mirror universe. Thought that was great. Khan's necklace, made out of a broken Starfleet belt buckle.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Which makes me wonder, how did they get it?
I mean, off of his cold dead body, one assumes.
Yeah. Like, Reliant blows up, and then there's this one little Starfleet emblem floating around. So I was like, ooh, I'll take that.
Yeah, like it just happened to survive the massive compression into space. Sure, fine, whatever. It's made out of I don't know, unobtainium.
Titanium.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, like everything else. So yeah, there were just so many good ones. One little. Oh, I hate myself for being this pedantic. I'm so full of self-loathing for saying
Do it.
this. Okay,
Do it.
the one thing I wanted on 50-Foot Spock, because
Mhm.
they've been so wonderful about putting in little animated series references.
Yes, they do love TAS.
Give 50-Foot Spock that weird, janky Starfleet logo that they
Oh,
had on the animated series.
yeah. Oh.
That giant, like it takes up a third of the shirt and it's like angular and yeah.
They were like, you can have the Delta, but not to scale because this
Right.
is,
Right.
it's Star Trek, but like, it's not Star Trek.
Yeah. Just do that. Yeah, we'll be fine.
That's funny. But maybe
so
they
many-
have other plans for it.
Maybe. Could be. But at least we know now that 50-Foot Spock did exist and then sadly didn't exist at a certain point.
Canon.
It's canon. All right. Coming in here with, he is the king of the Riker meme and he is our friend. He is Alan, our next caller. Alan, welcome to the show. Hello.
Guys, how are you doing today?
Okay. All right. You are wearing a t-shirt that needs a little explanation.
Yes.
I get
John.
it. Yeah.
John. Man. Steve Rogers, the Winged Monkeys.
Yes. Yeah.
You understand this reference?
I don't. Well, okay. So, yes, I understand this reference. Very good. So, Ashley, are you a fan of Halix?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, I hand the floor. Oh my God! Look at that image. Okay,
I'm going to furiously Google while you guys chat.
I apologize to our audience that sometimes, like on our show a few weeks ago, we had to just go off into a tangent about the Brady Bunch house.
Yeah.
Right now, we're going to go off into a very short tangent about Halix. You have the floor, Alan. Give us the nutshell version of Halix.
With me, it seems to be t-shirt talk. But
Okay, yes.
You were incorporeal last time. All we saw was your head.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Strange energies are much better now, so we're all good. But yeah, so picture it. Summer 1981. The Walt Disney Corporation looks around Disneyland and says, "Hey, we've got this stage that's in Tomorrowland, and nothing else is going on at this. What can we do to capitalize on the fact that we've got a stage in a futuristic setting? Why, I know. Let's put together a rock band based on a sci-fi concept that is legally distinguishable but similar enough to Star Wars."
Yes.
To be-
Before
Yes.
they owned Star Wars.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Before they owned Star Wars, before even Star Tours. In fact, I think Star Tours may be where this stage used to be, or it's definitely close.
It's close. It's
Yeah.
where they do the Jedi Training Academy.
Oh,
if
nice.
they're still doing that at the Tomorrowland
Nice.
stage. Yep.
I will have to mention that because the reason that I have this shirt is I'm planning a trip to Disneyland in a couple months and with my family. And so I was like, it's been 40 years.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And so my plan is to wear my Halix shirt around Galaxy's Edge and Tomorrowland and everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. So and some very dedicated fans made a documentary about Halix, and
Oh, cool.
they just now getting the life that they never had when they were this band at Disneyland.
The Defunct Land podcast was kind of behind that,
yes,
right?
Right. Exactly.
And
So-
you can tell that this was a 1980s band because it was very much Kiss in presentation, lots of like touches of Pat Benatar and other things. Their most popular song was called Jailbait.
Oh God! Oh hey!
Yeah.
Wow! Yeah.
The 80s.
Yeah, the 80s. The 80s, everybody.
Hey.
Hey.
Wow. So there you are. And by the way, sorry for that diversion.
Oh, no.
Paul calling me out. One of the Pauls calling me out, saying we're used to OT John, and I assume that he means off-topic John, not that I am an operating thetan John. So, but I might be.
I almost swore.
I'm not.
I
We're not.
swore so loud.
We're not doing that when we go to Anaheim, John.
Look,
We're not doing
I just got on a list, I'm sure. I just ended up on a list. So now with that out of the way, Alan, give us your thoughts here about the episode. And I'm curious, what was your favorite Easter egg?
Yes.
Oh, my favorite Easter egg. Well, I mean, it's hard to call 50-foot Spock an Easter egg since he was kind of more of a plot point in the episode, but I like that. The first thing that I think the first thing that I spotted was the Betazoid gift box that Armin Shimmerman played.
Yes. Oh my God, that's right.
Oh,
that blew my mind. And I was just, when I heard the premise, I was like, okay, this is the episode. This is where they just go, they turn it up, Spinal Tap. It goes to 11.
Yes. So many little details in there, and the face in the box, the gift box, was just magical. Yeah.
But and I think some other people have mentioned the game from the game, and it took me a while, but I eventually found Odo's bucket, and I found all these other things. I also like that there were some real things in there too, like the Mars rover, and there is a painting in the background that I know is famous. I can't think of who it's by, but it's a painting of a lady. It's kind of cubist, so I'm guessing it might be Picasso, it might be Dali, it might be somebody else entirely. But there's definitely real stuff. There's a unicorn for some reason.
It's Scotland's national animal. It's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that I like about the Mars rover being there is that, so this is all part of the Star Trek continuum, all part of the Star Trek universe. And on Mars, you have, and around Mars, you have Utopia Planitia shipyards. Mm-hmm. And you also, I believe in Enterprise, didn't they have like a Sagan Point or something like that? So there are all these places that are known in Star Trek that happen at Mars. But here's this, hundreds of years old, incredibly important piece of scientific equipment. And somebody between now and the future of Star Trek just went, nope, I'll take that. And they put it in their collection and ran off with it. So,
I mean, humans in particular have proven that we will take something of cultural significance from somewhere else and put it in a museum, Dad. So
that we will. Yes. What else, Alan? What do you want to mention about tonight's episode?
Well, I don't know. I don't think we were doing live shows, or I wasn't doing live shows at the time. But Darmok was a very, I don't know, not special episode, but it was definitely like a favorite episode. It was kind of, I believe the situation was, I think I was in like either fifth or sixth grade or something like that when it came on. And we had like just learned about Gilgamesh in the course of doing either English or history or something like that, and then it's on the show, and it's like, oh my goodness, this thing that we had been talking about all week, and then suddenly, bam, it's on Star Trek. It just sort of like opened up. It was kind of like a weird sort of eye-opening experience, and I've always loved that. I've always loved the Temerians as a concept. I know it doesn't make a lick of sense, but it's so much fun. The one thing that I will say is that when I've sort of headcanoned my way into, well, what if they bring the Temerians back? It's always been that the universal translator takes their metaphors and turns them into metaphors that we understand. Like,
Oh.
they're hanging around, they're cleaning up the collector's ship, and he's like, Mary Poppins, her spoonful of sugar.
It reminds me of the Whose Line game, if you know what I mean.
Yep. Yeah, or what's going on right now? Roger and Jean, the balcony is open.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, that's good. By the way, and this is perfect to have you describe the meme king, the Riker, because Paul Harveth in the chat says Alan with memes showing. So see that you've worked your way into exactly what you're describing, which is perfect.
I'm curious to see how many people get/appreciate the ones for that I'm sticking in the meme for Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. By the way, Aaron in the chat makes a couple of very good points. He says the unicorn could be a call out to the horses on Nimbus in Star Trek V. So I like that line of thinking. And he says about the Mars rover, at least it won't get destroyed in Picard. So somebody grabbed it, they put it in a collection. So yes, good thinking.
Yeah, they did the Indiana Jones. This belongs in a museum.
Belongs in a museum, exactly.
Yeah,
hey, go ahead.
Yeah, just sort of wrapping stuff up. I felt that honestly this could have been 2 episodes. Like I loved everything on the collector ship. I loved everything on the away mission. And it's one I know what I loved what they did by putting them together, but at the same time I wish there was a little bit more of both. I wish we could have gotten to know the Titan crew a little bit better. Speaking of references, the speech at the end reminded me of a film from the 90s called Airheads, where at the very end, Brendan Fraser and his group of metalhead rockers get outed as nerds, and
oh my
suddenly
God.
from the crowd, it's sort of like, I too was a nerd, and I did this, and the line that has stuck in my brain ever since I saw this is from out of the crowd, Lemmy from Motorhead turns up and says, I was the editor of the school magazine.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so much good stuff. So much to talk about.
I love it. Alan, thank you so much for calling in. We will see you again soon. I cannot wait to see the meme this week.
Oh.
And we will see you again next week, okay?
All righty. Have a good one.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hey, I cannot wait to get to our next caller, Cherie, but I'm going to ask you to hold on for just a moment for a tiny bit of crass commercialism. Please bear with me. I do want everybody within the sound of our voices to go check out the Mission Log Patreon, which is at patreon.com/Mission Log. Why? Well, I'll tell you why, because one of the most fun things that we get to do as a Mission Log community is join the Mission Log Discord. And it is thriving and full of awesome people who are having conversations about everything from this show to regular Mission Log and all the topics in between, all kinds of Trek, movies, soundtracks, etc. And because it's me, a food and beverage channel in there as well. So come join Patreon, and just even for as low as $1 a month, which you get a discount if you do annually, you can join the Discord and get full access there. It is a blast. And seriously, every penny absolutely helps us to keep this show going and helps keep all the talented people who are involved with Mission Log to keep going. And by the way, that Discord, soon to be joined by some very awesome people like Holly, like Jessica, and like our very own Ashley V. Robinson, who's sitting here in front of me. I know, right? Yeah.
That's true. That is a true and scientific fact.
It is. So I can't wait for that. And if you can't wait for that, go over to patreon.com/Mission Log, join us there, and then we will see you in the Discord. And that's not to mention all the other cool stuff like the unedited videos where Norman and I are stumbling through a recap every week. You love that. That's good. That's worth the price of admission right there. So we'll see you there. And now, very pleased to welcome to the show our next caller, Cherie, also calling from the lower decks and in uniform. Welcome to the show. Oh, we can't hear you. Hang on. Let us
You're muted.
unmute you.
But you look amazing.
There we
Thank
go.
you. Yeah, I was gonna say I have quite a bit of sweet corn on my collar here.
So much sweet corn. Look, sweet corn is delicious, and as somebody who enjoys food, my dry cleaner has gotten to know me very well because I'm like, yeah, sorry, it was another good night out with good food, so you got to take care of this. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
So what is on your mind tonight, Cherie?
So it's been keeping me up at night. And you're the only people who will understand because everybody else is just like, why are you thinking about this?
Oh, that's why we're here. You have found your people. Yes.
Truly.
So which Boimler, did shuttle? So I'm thinking about them as shuttle pod Boimler and transporter Boimler.
Yes.
So if we're going by the original Riker episode, it's the one that got beamed who's the original, because that's the Riker who was the original Riker, because he beamed onto the ship and he was fine, and the other one got left behind.
Right.
So that's shuttle pod Boimler, theoretically. However, I've watched this multiple times. When they beam shuttle pod Boimler on, transporter Boimler says, "I'm the clone, boo." So now I'm confused, and also which one stayed on the Titan and which one went back to the Cerritos, because even if, regardless of which one's the clone, I have this theory that the one who went in the shuttle pod, because he's the only one who's had a different experience, would be kind of more hardcore, Titan, because he had to fight his way through Packlands assumedly to get to that shuttle pod. Whereas the one who got beamed there was just screaming like we're used to Boimler screaming. So I was assuming that's the original Boimler, but we don't know for certain. So what do you guys think?
Go to it, Ashley.
Okay, so I have also
right.
spent a good amount of time thinking about this, because if this were TNG, yes, sure, you are my people. If this were TNG, if this were 90s, 2000s era Trek, it would be exactly as it's been presented, right? Original Boimler is going back to the Cerritos to be reunited with the family. Really, really easy, straightforward. Maybe we'll have another episode, kind of like the Mirror Universe, where we see the Titan again and we get to see hardcore Boimler. But this is a very smart show that has done a really excellent job undercutting our expectations. So I think that we're going to go 1 or 2 more episodes and then reveal that it's clone Boimler.
I really hope that
Cerritos.
at one point we figure it out. Because actually at the end of the episode, I remember the Titan crew was like, "Oh, we'll see him every day because his clone is here."
Mm-hmm.
But we don't necessarily. Do we know that? Because he changed his name so that would fit in with the Riker clone. But are we following that? Are we? I don't know.
I also love the idea that Boimler might just be like, "This is my chance at a redo. I can be a hardcore badass." And then that's who he decided to be now. So OG Boimler is now William Boimler. I don't know. It's truly a mystery for me.
I kind of lean on the side that says that William Boimler is the one who, he is the one who got stuck down there with the Packlands. By the way, can I just say that the thing that made me laugh out loud every time I watched this episode was the Packlands rushing at the door with the saw.
Yes.
You have to knock down the door with the saw. That killed me every single time.
Series-long villain, the Packlands.
It's just the most brilliantly stupid thing I've ever seen. So, William Boimler is the guy who got stuck. He had to fight his way through the Packlands. So for 90 seconds longer, he's more of a badass. And he's the one who belongs on the Titan because that's where all the action is. So it's sort of like, yeah, the regular Boimler who ended up back on Cerritos, he misses his chance to stick where he really wanted to be, but he's not really cut out for that because he's not the guy who had to fight his way to stay. So I feel like that is Boimler Prime. And Clone Boimler is definitely William. But it's so funny that, of course, in Star Trek logic, you only get Thomas Riker because he was there for like 8 years or something that he was stuck behind. Now it's literally about 90 seconds. That is the separating point in those two. It's still all the same background. It's still all the same life experiences. It's just that moment that changes him to be this other guy, changes the clone to be the other guy. So I think it's the clone who's stuck behind on who opted to be behind on the Titan. And but I love this idea that you do a reveal in a few episodes and we learn something different. So wonder,
we'll all reconvene right here in like 3 weeks and see who's right.
Yes. Cherie, I want to know, what else did you find in the episode? Did you have a favorite Easter egg or in-joke or something?
I don't know if it was my favorite, but I was pretty proud of myself for like noticing the game on one of the little like heads. I was like, oh, the game.
Yes.
And I love the Kayshon puppet.
Right.
Yeah, it's so cute. I love when like later on they're like, oh, like Kayshon when he turned into a puppet.
Right, and how adorable was it? The little sign at the end, like written in marker.
Don't play with me.
Yeah, it was also a nice way to see Miggly Moo again for more than just one scene. Like he kind of got to bookend the episode. Like I thought that was really cute.
Right.
Always good to have more of him.
I like that.
Yes, so good. And while by the way, a couple of comments here that I think are a lot of fun. First of all, Alan says, "Is it really a Thomas Riker, or did the Cerritos get back Logie Boimler?" So he brings up the idea that maybe it's not a transporter duplicate. Maybe it's like an enemy within thing, and we're going to end up with a couple of different Boimlers. So that's always a possibility. Transporters can do that, exactly. And then it's just very nice. I wanted to share with everybody here and with Earl, of course. Narda says, "I just want to say I love Mission Log. So much fun and a little of this action." So
we love you.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then Paul Wright says, "Next time we see Titan Boimler, he'll have a goatee."
Dun, dun, dun. That would be so excellent, truly.
Exactly. I want to throw out a topic to the assembled panel here. That means both of you, Ashley and Cherie. Sonic showers, what's the deal?
I don't understand why there's one switch, like, to control all of them. I would think the intensity would be like, individual.
You would
but maybe
think.
the only thing I could think was maybe theirs was so powerful that it was overpowering the individual intensities that the other people had, kind of like they just turned on like a fire hose or something over on their side of the room.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, very intense. But here's one question. Why would you make a sonic shower do that?
Maybe different.
Probably like the same reason you turn off the safeties on the holodeck.
Yeah, maybe different alien races need a different amount of force. Like maybe because Klingon skin is tougher, it needs to be more powerful.
Okay.
I don't know. Cartoon nudity's never not fun. Like that's the reason that this scene exists specifically. Like it's so silly. Like they're not nude, but to have it pixelated, I was like dying watching it. It was so funny.
Yes. And to me, it was a little bit of a
throwback. I thought they did a good job too, because
with the what? Go ahead, Cherie.
Sorry.
No, please. You have the floor.
I thought they did a good job. Like it doesn't look like they're like censored or anything. Mm-hmm. Like it looks kind of normal, but you can't see anything important.
Well, it was like they're just sort of shaking.
Like, it kind of seems like more like a haze.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the sort of like shaking from the sonic vibrations, and I thought, for me, it felt like a nice, fun little homage to Enterprise,
Oh,
'Cause of course,
sure.
yeah, because of course Enterprise kind of played up this, the sexy look of the decon chamber, and now it's just like, okay, we're gonna go purely for comedy. Here's all these naked crew members, but it's just torture for them.
Well, I also love the idea that Boimler is like offended by communal nudity, because one of my favorite TNG, I guess, additions to the canon is I can never remember what they're called, but basically the male uniform that is a dress, because we are post gender, we are post like binary and all that, and I love the idea, like communal showers actually really works for me in the Star Trek world. I know we played it for giggles here, but I was like, yeah. Absolutely. If you can see an alien, like, what does someone of your own like, how exciting is that going to be?
Well, by the way, nice shout out to the scant.
Thank
Definitely
you.
love the scant.
Thank you.
Somebody who has rocked one. I'm fully on board with that. But
as someone who likes men, I am also fully on board.
Okay, all right. Cool.
Everyone looks good in one.
All right, you got it. But I did wonder, like, you have these state of the art, incredibly advanced starships that have things like holodecks and shuttles, and they go at warp speed. But, like, is it too much to ask that you have a little bit of privacy? Because, look, they're sleeping in these little bunks that are just completely, like, they're in a hallway, which is a little weird. And then, okay, yeah, you can take a shower, but there's going to be 30 of you in the room when you take your sonic shower.
I guess that's what the second pip gets you, is a barrier wall.
Oh, that's the incentive. That's the incentive. I like
Work your
that
way
a
up.
lot.
You don't have to see everyone else's butts.
Nice.
That's why Mariner stays on lower decks. She loves butts. I figured it out.
The other thing I want to ask you here in our closing minutes, because we alluded to it earlier in the show, which is that this is one of those fantastic episodes, not just of Lower Decks, but of Star Trek, where they do the Star Trek thing. They entertain you, but then they slip in some messages. And I feel like the morals, meanings, messages here were spot on and felt so Star Trek. And I'm just wondering from the two of you, like, what did you pick up here? Were there things that made you go, oh yeah, that is so Star Trek. This gives me Star Trek feelings.
So for me, I was going to let Cherie go, but I think she's
I think
muted.
she's muted. Oh no. Oh, you are muted.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry, my internet.
Go
my
for
internet
it. No,
really
please.
weird. My internet just freaked out.
Gotcha.
So I lost kind of the last few seconds.
Oh, did you hear the question though? Because what I want to find out is in the mission log tradition, because I feel like this episode had morals, meanings, messages, had something to say about Star Trek and about its mission. What did you pick up from it? Did anything resonate with you?
I loved that they like just turned to Rutherford and Tendi and were like, "What do you guys think?" And like, I know that like a lot of fans have been complaining that Rutherford and Tendi have kind of sidelined because of Mariner and Boimler. So I think that was maybe the people who make the show listening to the fans and being like, "Okay, finally, we promise you, we're gonna get them there." So I thought it was great that they were able to have more Rutherford and Tendi.
Ashley, are you still shipping Tendi and Rutherford?
I just want them to kiss so bad, and Mike won't give it to me. It's all I want.
I love your enthusiasm so much, Ashley.
Thank you.
That was
I
the
love
reaction
having you
I
back as a
wanted.
host.
That was the reaction I wanted. Yes, thank you.
I just want to be at their wedding. If Mike, draw me in the background, please. I know you're not
there
in
you
it.
go.
Please. I think that they did a really great job, particularly in Boimler's speech, about reminding us about like the themes of exploration, because particularly, and I love the Kelvinverse and I love New Trek, but we're getting a little more action. And so I thought the callback to these exploration and the intellectualism of Star Trek was lovely. But ultimately, the morals, meanings, messages for me was that it's all valid, because we got to see everybody accomplish something and give towards the problem solving and get rewarded and wind up where they wanted to be. And that's lovely from an inclusive humanistic worldview, which is what Gene Roddenberry gave us when we first got TOS. But it's also lovely for this era of Trek that we're like 6 or 7 generations down the line now. And I thought it worked on 2 completely different levels. And for me, that's Star Trek.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll back that up 100% just to say that to me, both plot lines, the A and B stories here, had these parallel messages about keeping your eye on the real goals, science, exploration, and safety of your crew, because you don't get to do those things if you're just constantly chasing after heroics and you're in it for self-aggrandization or adventure. Like, yeah, those are fine too. The adventure is fine. There is something exciting about this, but you have to keep your eye on why you're there. And it's not about badass heroics. It's about learning. It's about the journey. There were these examinations of leadership and listening to other opinions, which was so cool to see in that moment with Tendi and Rutherford, because they had something to contribute. And it was too much bickering, obviously, between Jet and Mariner, which they needed to cool off. And it was nice to see them appreciate each other's style. So much going on there, which I thought was awesome. And by the way, also another message from Chris Riker in the chat here, very important. Don't forget this one. The message is figure out now, not later, what you're going to do with your fornication helmet. So,
well said.
Yeah, I can't argue with that at all.
Put it in your will.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, thank you, Sheree, for calling in. Ashley, pleasure as always. Can't wait to get to do this again with you and watch you and Norman next week. So cheers.
It's my absolute dream each and every time. So thank you for having me.
Well, hey, I guess at this point we are Mirab with sails unfurled. Mission Log Live is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, executive producer Rod Roddenberry. Technical production on Mission Log Live by Puppet Earl Green. We do hope he's restored to his human form soon. Be sure to visit podcast.roddenberry.com for the latest from the Roddenberry podcasts. If you would like to support Mission Log directly, give us a look at patreon.com/missionlog. Thank you to everyone who joined us live or later. Stay safe, stay healthy. We look forward to talking with you next week.